The federal government took a big step today towards replacing its aging fighter jets. It has formally asked 4 eligible suppliers to make their pitches for why they should provide Canada's brand new fleet. Let's take a look at the companies in the running. Saab of Sweden, makers of the Gripen fighter jets. Then there's Airbus Defence and Space out of Britain, which offers the Eurofighter Typhoon. Rounding out the list are 2 American firms, Boeing, makers of the Super Hornet, and Lockheed-Martin, which produces the F-35s. The 88 new jets will ultimately replace Canada's CF-18 fighter jets, which are more than 3 decades old, well beyond their original estimated lifespan. The company's final bids have to be submitted to Ottawa by spring of next year. A decision on the winning bid isn't expected until 2022, with delivery of the first jets by 2025. So how will the feds make their decision? Carla Qualtrough is the Minister of Public Services and Procurement. She joins me now in studio. Hi, Minister. Nice to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
Last time we were here, we were talking about the sort of drafting of this,
Yes.
Of the RFP, and there had been some concern from the Pentagon at the time that the way in which you were going to wait things out was prejudicial against the F-35s. What have you done to address that?
Well, over the course of the past 18 months, we've been working with the suppliers to develop the content of the final RFP, which is what we announced today and what we gave to our 4 suppliers that are currently in the mix. And what we've done is we've identified along the way a number of things that needed clarifications. We did over 1,000 changes to this RFP over the past 18 months. And one of them was recognizing that, well, we still wanted to get suppliers to commit to economic benefits to Canadians worth the total value of whatever their bid is. We wanted to make sure that everybody could stay in the competition because it's in our interest as Canadians to have a fair, open, robust competition. We don't want to get people inadvertently out of this before they have a chance to put their best bid forward.
Does that mean that you changed the requirements around how much economic impact has to be generated here in Canada?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, we actually bolstered the weight that we're putting on economic benefit. What we did was we went from a process where you had to have a binding contract committing yourself as a supplier to a certain amount of economic benefit to a weighted and rated process where 20% of the entire bid is going to be on economic benefit. If a supplier will contractually obligate to doing this, they'll get more points out of 20.
Is that still prejudicial against the F-35s? And my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, was that the Pentagon's initial complaint was Canada already pays into the JSF, and this would sort of be against the agreement by requiring them to invest X amount in Canada because the way the JSF works is that it's competitive.
Well, my understanding is it's not a matter of the amount of economic benefit that any one supplier is prepared to contribute. It's whether or not, based on our participation in the JSF, they can contractually obligate themselves to do that. So, I don't know what the content of any given bid's going to be, obviously, but what we've tried to do is design a process, and what I think we've achieved is a very fair process that takes into account the needs of a whole diverse range of suppliers.
So do you think, though, just bottom line, that you have acknowledged and addressed the concern from the Pentagon, which was that this bidding process is going to work against the F-35s?
I don't want to characterize it that way, to be fair. I think what we've done is we've listened to all the suppliers and we've addressed concerns, any one of which in isolation could be argued that would benefit a given supplier. But when you see them all put together, I think we have landed on a very fair, transparent process.
Let me take you back to, because there's an election coming up, and I know that the timeline sort of coincides now. For a lot of our viewers, they'll remember a very specific promise that your party made in the last election. The Prime Minister at the time, who was running to be Prime Minister, said, we will not buy the F-35 stealth fighter bomber. It was unequivocal.
Right.
What has changed between then and now?
Well, a couple of things was, in part, that was a response to the fact that the Conservatives hadn't done a competitive process. They were sole sourcing the F-35 without a fully costed plan, without a defense policy, and without engaging with other suppliers to see if there were other options out there. So we basically cut that. We shut that down as soon as we came into office, and we embarked on putting together a defense policy that's fully costed, identifying how many planes we actually needed. They had said 66. We identified 88 in order to meet our NORAD and NATO obligations concurrently. And then we said we were going to have a fair, open, transparent, competitive process. And that's what we've done over the past 18 months. And yes, all 4 suppliers have an equal chance at success.
So that doesn't really answer, though, what changed. Because at the time, the Prime Minister cited the cost of the F-35s. Is cost not an issue anymore?
Well, cost is definitely part of it. it. It's worth 20% of the value of the overall bid, and any supplier is going to have to be competitive in their costing. I don't know what that will be. I can tell you that we're looking at a $15 to $19 billion spend on securing these 88 fighter jets.
And sorry to interrupt, but is that the initial cost versus that does not include the lifespan?
No, that's life.
That includes that full
life. Maintenance.
Okay.
That's from the time it's built to the time it is retired.
Okay, so you're looking at a total price tag of $15 to $19 billion. Was it a mistake to be so unequivocal in the last campaign that you would not purchase those?
I'm not sure. I'm not going to say the Prime Minister made a mistake. I understand where he was coming from. He was frustrated that there was a sole source competition, that the Conservatives hadn't done anything in 10 years. They didn't have a plan. It wasn't costed. And we just committed to do things differently, and we landed on this.
It's a fair point, but your party did make a specific promise. And we could end up, and I'm asking because we could end up at a point when a decision is made on this, where we're back buying the F-35s, the very thing that was decided many years, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I won't speculate what plane gets chosen, but any of the four could be for sure.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video. Thanks for watching.